Our next speaker, Ken Krawchuk. I love you. I love you, Ken Krawchuk.
Frank Perry, I love you too. I love you too, Frank Perry. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, what is it about those three words? I and love and you. Three little words, but boy, what powerful words they are. They can make someone's day or even change someone's life. Now, I'm not going to try and define the word love. All I can say is that love is one of those things that you know it when you see it, and certainly when you feel it. You could see it in the gleam of the eyes of two teenagers out on their first date. You could see it in the pride of the soldier marching off to serve his country. You could even see it in the scowl of the parent changing the baby's diaper. But regardless of the scenario, those feelings can be summed up best by those three little words. I and love and you. But how often do we say them? Maybe too much? How many of us end our phone calls with those three little words? For some people, it's almost automatic. Sorry, honey, I'll be home late. I love you. Bye. We say them so many times, could it be that they might risk losing their meaning? Do you remember the first time you told someone, I love you? Do you remember how you felt? Do you remember the echo of those words that you saw in their eyes? But how much of that experience was echoed in your last phone call? Love you, honey. Bye. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, my mission here today is to suggest a few ways that might help us recapture those wonderful feelings, and not just for you and me, but also for those around us as well. It's all based on one simple concept. All you need to do is to catch someone you love in the act of doing something you love. Then let them know it. It's that simple. And it's easy to do, too. Just start off with the words, do you know what I love about you? And then take it from there. Let me give you a real-life example. It was 9 p.m. on a cold Thursday night last December when I read that the scientists predicted how the northern lights would be visible from the Pocono Mountains that night, and only that night. Well, I had never seen the northern lights before, so within the hour, my wife Roberta and I were in the car heading north to the Poconos. We drove for well over an hour, then hiked 2 miles in the dark along the Appalachian Trail until we came to a lonely mountaintop clearing. Oh, you should have seen it. The sky was brilliant with a billion pinpoints of starlight. The Milky Way was a blurry swath splitting the sky into two sparkling seas. As we stood there in the silent forest clearing, I turned to Roberta and I said, do you know what I love about you? I love how you love to share these sorts of moments with me here in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. And she laughed and said to me, do you know what I love about you? I love that you would even suggest spending a romantic evening here in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. Well, we didn't stand out there very long on that frosty mountaintop because it turned out the scientists were wrong. We never did see the northern lights. But even in the dark, we did see the light in each other's eyes. And it all started with those 8 words. Do you know what I love about you? Being specific about the roots of your love isn't limited only to your significant other. You can also use the same technique at your job. And no, I don't mean you should go around telling your coworkers how much you love them. If you do that, it's a quick ticket to finding yourself in the crosshairs of your HR department. But instead of love, you can use the word like. So whenever you catch a coworker in the act of doing something you like, just tell them outright. Tell them what you like about working with them. Maybe they come up with a great idea that saved you a whole lot of trouble, or saved the company a whole lot of money, or whatever it is. Just tell them, do you know what I like about working with you? And then take it from there. Trust me, after you do it 2 or 3 times, don't be surprised if you start hearing the same sort of thing coming from them. And trust me again, it helps a lot when it comes time to hand out raises. I found out that this approach works not only with your personal relationships and with your professional relationships, it can also work with your kids. Granted, we parents typically shower our children with love, but how much time do we spend correcting our kids? Christina, your bedroom is a mess. Carissa, get your nose out of that video game. Melanie, finish your homework. Well, here's a novel idea. Instead of constantly criticizing them when they're doing something wrong, why not catch them in the act of doing something right? Roberta and I came up with a great way to do that. We call it the grace. We would give the kids a grace whenever we catch them doing something right. And whenever they got a grace, they would chronicle that grace by writing it down on the back of one of my old business cards. I have here a box containing the original 96 graces that we gave to our kids as they were growing up. We gave them graces for all sorts of extraordinary feats. Let me read you a few. Here's one for Christina, getting 5 100s in a row on her math test. Here's one for Carissa, jumping off a high dive the very first time. And here's one for Melanie, getting Dad a beer right away without complaining. Hey, that's pretty extraordinary, don't you think? I think it is. Graces weren't merely a way to show your love for the kids, because each grace had a special power. One grace could cancel out any one punishment. So, for example, if our daughter was grounded, she could use a grace and suddenly become ungrounded. Graces were great. They're a way of telling our kids not only how much we love them, but also exactly why we love them. And having them write down the grace would reinforce that message and reinforce the love. There you have it, my fellow Toastmasters. 3 lovely ways of catching someone doing something right. All you need to do is ask them, do you know why you deserve a grace? Do you know what I like working about you? Do you know what I love about you? And then take it from there. Let me give you one final example. Do you know what I love best about Toastmaster audiences? They love you back. And I love you all too. Mr. Contest Master.